Hello, welcome to another ODNT Spotlight. My name is Steve DeWinter. I am your host, and today we have a very, very interesting interview set and scheduled for you. We have not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, half a dozen authors are all here all at the same time on ODNT Spotlight, and I can't believe we got the technology working so that it's all happening, and they are all here because they are half a dozen of the Dark Dozen who wrote an anthology, which is a fundraising anthology for a gentleman who needs a heart transplant. So this is an excellent cause, and we have here a dozen wonderful, awesome, scary, fun, exciting, thrilling stories for you. And we have half of the authors with us over here, so let's switch on over. And so we have got Maer, we have Danielle, we have Robert, we have Stephen. Louann has disappeared! Oh no! And we have Ross. Hopefully Louann will come back soon. But let me go ahead and turn this over to Maer. So Maer, tell us a little bit about the Dark Dozen. And Louann is back. At least a picture.
Yay!
So go ahead, Maer. Tell us a little bit about the Dark Dozen and what this anthology is about and what it's for.
It's, as you said, a fundraiser to help a friend of mine who needs a heart transplant. One morning, one of the first things I do, of course, is get on my computer and get on Facebook. And I read this note from this friend of mine that I game with. I think by now everybody knows that I'm a big-time gamer and I play Star Wars. And this friend that I game with just wrote this post that was, I could tell he'd given up. And I knew he had severe heart problems. And his post was just so depressed and so sad because he was just discouraged and and disappointed with everything that was going on and how slow it was moving, and the fact that his $10,000 copay had turned into a $120,000 copay.
Yikes.
That he had to have with all of the different procedures that were going on. Bless his heart. And he mentioned that he was on a death watch and that maybe he didn't deserve a heart, and that's why everything hadn't come together. And I just broke my heart, and I just was trying to think of things to do. And I had talked to several of my friends, including Danielle, and trying to come up with ideas. And I did the We Heart Al page, and I think you have the link for that.
Yes, I have all the links down below in the description. So I've got the links for the We Heart page on Facebook, We Heart Al, and also support Al directly on his GoFundMe page.
Great, thank you for that. So I checked his GoFundMe page because throughout this last year I've popped in and donated a little here and there, but going from 10,000 to 120,000, that's a big jump.
That is.
And I was just floored that they could do that. And apparently it has to do with, because of the different kinds of procedures that he has to do to get ready for the transplant.
Oh.
All of those, each of those has a copay, all of those expensive medications. Wow. So I did the page, and I was putting the word out, and I was trying to think of something to do. And Danielle said, well, why not an anthology? Put a call out. And I said, well, I had thought of doing my stories, but I don't sell well enough as it is to be, they won't raise anything. So she says, well, yeah, but let's put the call out to other authors. And I'm like, great idea. So thank you, Danielle. She participated in that. And we put the call out. And within days, just a couple of days, there were 12 of us for the anthology.
Excellent. So that came the Dark Dozen title, I take it?
Yes, that was the Dark Dozen, the 12 stories that were in there. And, of course, we've got half of us here tonight. I do want to give a shout out to, let's see if I can find this really quickly. The Dark Dozen, to the other authors. We have Travis Luedke, we have C.N. Lesley, who are missing. I'm just naming the ones that are not here. Jody A. Kessler, Allan B. Anderson, Karenne Griffin, M. Joseph Murphy. I'm forgetting somebody, Danielle. Who am I forgetting?
I don't know.
Is there a CN Lesley? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mentioned CN Lesley. So here's the whole list. I'll just give you the whole list. Travis Luedke, CN Lesley, Danielle DeVor, Maer Wilson, Stephen Ramirez, Jody A. Kessler, Louann Carroll, Ross G. Homer, M. Joseph Murphy, Robert P. Wills, Karenne Griffin, and Allan B. Anderson. So that's all 12 of us. And then, of course, as I said, we have 6 of us here.
And so that's the awesome group that huddled together and said, we'll all pitch in and we'll all give stories to this to bolster up this anthology. Exactly.
So, I mean, everything was donated. The cover that you see was done by M. Joseph Murphy, another one of his, he does all of my covers, another fabulous cover from him on that. So he donated the cover work for that. I had a friend who helped with minor editing. And that was Jen Ryan. She did some work on this. And, of course, we all looked at each other's and did some editing. I did the formatting. So every cost of this has been donated so that every penny that comes in from Amazon can go straight into Al's GoFundMe page.
So this is 100% of the proceeds from this anthology are going to his GoFundMe page.
100% of the royalties that come to us.
Right, of the proceeds that come in, exactly. So it's the net wholesale sales, which is minus what Amazon takes.
Correct. Correct. So anyway, tonight we have with us Stephen Ramirez, Danielle DeVor, Louann Carroll, Robert P. Wills, and Ross G. Homer. So we've got the 5 of those with us tonight. And again, I am so deeply appreciative that I have such awesome friends that I can put the word out and within days have this kind of response. And the book was literally, Danielle, we had the idea on November 24th or something like that.
Yeah, it was right before Thanksgiving.
That's this year?
Yes.
Because I see a release date of December 2nd.
Yes.
Wow.
We put this together in a week.
Wow.
So, see, when you really want to do something,
you get it done.
You can get it done. And everybody they got their stories in. And oh my gosh, Steve, these stories are so awesome. The quality is just fabulous.
Excellent. So did you want to tell us a little bit of some of the stories that are in this?
Well, why don't I let some of the authors talk? Why don't we start? We've got Stephen.
So I'm
just going to go down the line that I have.
Okay, we'll follow I'll let you control it. I'll have to put host next to your name.
Oh gosh, here I take over your show.
My guest host, Maer, will tell who to speak.
I'll owe you. I'll owe you big time for this. And everybody should be watching your show for how fabulous you are and having people on and doing so much that you do for authors. So,
well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure. It's how I give back.
For giving back to his community like he does. And go read his books, too. But, yeah, if we could start with Stephen Ramirez, why don't you go ahead and interview him first, Steve?
Okay, so, Stephen, welcome to ODNT Spotlight. If I had 3 more people, we could do a game of Hollywood Squares,
There you go. I've always wanted to do a Paul Lynde impression, so that would be
There you go. We'll have to put you in center square. So, Stephen, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your entry into the anthology.
So I don't know how I was lucky enough to get the first slot there. So when you open up the book, pretty much my story's there. It's called Brown the Recluse, and I wrote it a couple of years ago. It's actually I used to live up. I'm from California, but for job reasons I had to move up to the Pacific Northwest for about 18 months. Did not enjoy it. When you get somebody who's from Southern California, well, it's not just too wet, but in the winter it's very, very dark.
Oh,
and it gets dark like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, pitch black, and then it doesn't get light until about 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's pretty bleak.
Oh, wow. And coming from sunny SoCal, it's like, woo!
Yeah, so big difference. So now, on the other side, to be fair, in the summers are absolutely gorgeous because it stays light till about 10 o'clock at night. So the summers are nice, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's so far, toward the North Pole.
As the world tilts.
I had this idea just because and I think the idea happened during the winter portion of my stay there. about this guy who's working up there in the tech industry, and just he's pretty alienated, and the environment itself is very alienating. And so I kind of just took and ran with that idea and made it so that his life is he's very detached from everyone. He's divorced, he's by himself, he's living in this little apartment, and he's not doing too well. And then things get worse when he finds a spider in his apartment, and then things go downhill from there. So it's a pretty interesting story.
I hope it's not an autobiography.
Well, fortunately, I've never been bitten by a brown recluse. I understand it's a very painful bite, and the resulting injury is not pleasant. But it's I just thought that was a good one to have to attack him. So that's kind of what I went with. But that's kind of the idea behind it. But it's a good story. It's very dark, and it's not something where there's out and out terror in it. Some of the stories in our collection are kind of more scary, but it's very uncomfortable. Let's just say that.
It has
especially
tension.
For people. Sorry.
Tension, right?
Yeah, tension, especially for people who don't like spiders.
That's about 99% of us.
99% of people. It's pretty uncomfortable. So that's kind of where that's coming from.
Excellent. That's a good one, Stephen. So. I'm sure we'll circle back around to people, but who next, Mayor, would you like me to grill?
Danielle, since she's next on my screen.
All right, so Danielle, so you are one of the co-founders of this anthology, it sounds like.
Well, Mayor did like an inordinate amount of work. You have no idea. But, basically it was like whenever Mayor had a question or like, we need this, then I was like, okay, we need to figure out how to do this, this, and this, and then I would jump out and share whatever she needed shared or tweet whatever she needed tweeted, and I would try to brainstorm with her, trying to come up with other ways we can get the word out about Al.
Excellent, excellent. So you also contributed a story. I think
Yes.
everybody in my group here has. So tell us a little bit about the story you contributed toward this Dark Dozen anthology.
Well, when Mayor actually decided that she wanted to do this anthology, I didn't have a short story ready, so I decided to write about a childhood experience I'd had with a next-door neighbor, where her mother had brought home a human skeleton from the medical school. And it's actually a true ghost story. It happened to a little girl who lived next door to me in her house. Her name was Gita. And basically, we would hear these footsteps up and down her basement steps the entire time the bones were in the house.
Okay, I got chills, sorry. I hate it when they say, well, this one's a true story. It's like, I love fiction, but
Well, cross my heart, this one's true.
anything that's actually happened, there goes chills. Wow. So there's a definite skeleton in that closet story.
Yes.
Pun intended.
Wow, so true story. So you pulled deep from your background and said, I can, we've got 1 week to get this out. Let me get a good story going. And I don't have anything like that to draw from.
I just had one of those strange childhoods. My dad grew up in a haunted house. My mom had a ghost experience when she was a kid. We're just a family that have all these little supernatural things happening, and it seems to follow us.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Now that you can write your horror fiction, it's a good thing for source.
Yes, absolutely.
But not fun while it's happening, I'm sure.
No, definitely not.
So if your screen suddenly goes dark, we'll know why.
Exactly.
But she's in her new house now, right?
Yes. So nothing creepy has happened here yet.
But it's built on old Indian burial grounds, so who knows?
That's probable.
All right. Well, hey, thank you very much, Danielle. So I'm going to go ahead and just go around in my circle here. So next I have is Robert. Hello, Robert, who's already in the Christmas winter festivities. He's got snowflakes behind him.
And they're fake because I'm in Florida and it's 80 degrees here.
Yeah, that's where Santa's wearing this red Speedos.
Exactly. So that works well. That's why I still have some color to me from being outside all day long. So.
Yeah, rub it in, why don't you? Yeah, Steven's all... So go ahead and let us know what your story that you submitted for the anthology.
Well, the story I submitted is it's called Diary of a Madman, The Haunting of Terrence Brushwood. And it actually came about from a personal experience, but not exactly like Danielle's. I was laying in bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night, which you get close to 50 years old, you get up in the middle of the night every so often. And I opened my eyes, and my pajama top was on the back of the chair right there in front of me. And the way it was hanging, it really looked like a face when I opened my eyes. And it scared the dickens out of me.
Oh, man.
And I jumped, because, it's within about a foot and a half of me.
Right, so there's somebody in my room.
Exactly, scared by a pajama top. And as I'm getting up, I thought, well, at least it's not real. Then I thought, well, wait a minute, what if things like that were real? And that's where the story came about of this 15-year-old boy who sees things that no one else sees. And for the longest time, he thought everyone did see them. And now he has a psychiatrist who's helping him out, and he told him to keep a journal of the things he sees, and that's what this is, the journal of the things he sees, as he tries to explain, these things he sees that his mother doesn't see and no one else in the house sees.
Oh, nice. So when the rest of us see pajama tops, he's actually seeing what it really is.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's neat. I like that one.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, let's go from sunny Florida to bitter cold Alaska. Ross, you're up.
Thanks. 24 degrees and pitch black outside, Steve.
It's been pitch black for 12 hours now.
Oh, most of it, yes.
So, Ross, go ahead and let us know the story that you included in the anthology.
Well, mine is Moomins, a combination of human and manufactured. Not quite a cyborg, not quite a robot, and it's a love story. And
of course, no surprise.
Yeah. And my hero is a rock miner out in the belt, and comes to Earth and decides he wants one of these things and falls in love with her. And it's a subtle switch from an it to a her, and it's also led to a book I'm working on. And so far, it's people who've read it like it. I like it, and it's in the book. So it's an interesting, different sort of kind of point of view. Does that help?
That sounds good. So is this a tie-in to a full-length novel that you're writing?
Yes, it is.
Is it like a prequel or just a side story in the same universe?
Prequel, because in the novel I'm writing, the main character in Moomins is actually the grandmother of one of the characters in the book.
Ah, okay.
And it's post-apocalyptic in such that it's not something has hit us, the planet. And so the Earth is recovering, and they have these Moomins all over. And considering I don't know everybody's politics, so I won't go into it, but considering the feelings today, there's an element who doesn't want them around.
Right.
Yeah. So it's,
well, we utilize stories of, a dystopian future and everything to pinpoint, bigotry and prejudice and everything in our today world. And it's the perfect mirror to hold up, is to say, oh, no, this takes place in the far distant future, out in the belt.
Out in the belt, yeah.
When we're really talking about, building the wall between the U.S. and Mexico.
There you go. Yeah.
So it's really good, to use the allegorical system when telling stories. And you draw on what the audience that's reading it right now can recognize and understand.
Right. And Danielle, I didn't know we were related. We've got ghosts and we've got magic and all kinds of stuff in my family, and I have lived in a haunted house.
Well, very cool in that we're related, not necessarily that you've had to live in a haunted house.
It's strange. Okay.
Good job. All right. Thank you very much, Ross.
Thank you.
And Louann was our last one, but I have had a spinning circle from her. Are you there, Louann? Oh, we hear her, though. Can you speak again, Louann?
Oh, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just great. We just have a spinning circle where your face should be.
Oh,
So-
well, I can see my face, but I'll tell you a little bit about my story. It's called The
Louann,
Families.
before
Yes.
you get started, do you check your little icon, your little camera icon, and make sure there's not a line through it?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
Might just
No,
be.
and I
Just
can
a
see
thought.
I can see myself, but it seems to come and go. So
Yeah, it was coming and going. For a while, it was giving us a still picture, but audio's great. We'll pretend that this
that's
is a
good.
radio
Okay.
show. Welcome to the ODNT radio show.
Thank you.
This is a normal podcast. So go ahead, Louann. Tell us about the story that you have in the Dark Dozen anthology.
Okay. It's called The Foundlings of Nirvana, and this is Jenny's story. And you have to excuse me, I have a really bad cold.
okay.
And it is a story of prejudice, and it's also a story of genetics, and it's how life changes in a post-apocalyptic world, and how the keepers actually become the kept.
Ooh,
Yeah, so
I like that idea.
yeah, it's very different. It's not like anything I've ever written before, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. And there's actually 5 stories to the whole thing. Jenny's is the first one, and it travels with each individual person, and it's very strange.
And do you have all 5 stories in the one story?
No, I just have the one.
Oh,
This
just
one.
Jenny's. So
Jenny's,
there's
yeah.
4 more for
they're-
you to write.
They're already written, but they're all different takes on this new world, and it happens in terms of tens of thousands of years as she evolves over time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really weird.
That sounds good.
I think so. I think it's good. I do.
I agree with you, Louann. It sounds
there's
awesome.
there's not a lot of women science fiction writers, and I like to write science fiction, and I like to write horror. I'm not real big into romance. And it's really difficult. I'm so glad and happy that I was able to meet Maer and all the rest, and Danielle, because these are other women that write science fiction, and that's just a really awesome thing.
Right, you are not alone.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who don't appreciate women writing science fiction and horror.
That's a shame because there's some awesome women writing science fiction and horror.
I agree.
I mean, the biggest horror we have, Frankenstein.
Yes.
Come on, people.
Yes, absolutely.
That was 100 years ago. Come on.
Yeah. We have our own little horror story there, right?
We do.
as we try to break in.
And it's tough. It's tough and it's challenging. Unfortunately, I'm sitting here from the seat of the white male privileged society, and I wish I was privileged because I it's hard to break in anyway.
Yeah, it's an interesting industry, and it's so rough, especially right now, and this is such a strange time to be putting this anthology out because a lot of people are not selling that should be selling, that are brilliant writers that should be household names that are not, and some of them actually in this anthology, which is really nice. I really was lucky with the caliber of stories that we gathered for this, and I'm very proud of this anthology. I look at this and I read these. I've read every one of these stories a couple of times and loved every single one of them, and thought how incredibly lucky that Al and I were, that these folks were so generous with their writing, with their art, and with their work. So again, I thank my fellow authors on that. Did you want to hear about my story a little bit?
Oh yeah, sure, why not?
Oh, okay.
So Maer, why don't you tell us about the story that you put into the anthology?
Steve, you are just so awesome to ask me.
It just came to me.
Well, mine is called The Raid, and it's about a gamer who and it gets into rating quite a bit. So if you've ever wanted to know, what do these people do, these gamers, what do they do? I've actually got some details in there on what goes on in a raid. And I can't give away too much because it's not very long. It's only I think 7 or 8 pages or something like that. It's not a very long story. It's definitely a short story.
So if you tell us a little bit, you've spoiled the whole thing.
I basically have. But it's about this raid team. And I think Danielle said it best when we were trying to come up with a blurb for it, of the lengths the gamers will go to get their game completed, something along those lines. But
100% completion.
So that's about all I'll say about it. The fun thing about that is writing that story. I had a blast writing it because all of the names in the story are kind of takeoffs of names of my real gamer friends.
Uh-oh.
So all of the names in the story are based on names of people I raid with. So I do raid. So
excellent. So you were able to draw on. So we have, even with the 6 authors that we have here, even though we have half a dozen of the Dark Dozen, we have got gamer, we've got apocalyptic, we've got sci-fi and horror, and real life horror stuff, all sorts of good stuff. So it sounds like this is a very wide and varied anthology.
Yeah.
But all of them seem to focus on the line of something just a little bit spooky.
Yeah, hence the dark. It was a fun process putting this together, though, because we had a Facebook group where we voted on the title, we voted on the covers, we did everything as a group. So it wasn't just me making decisions. It was okay, guys, these are our options. Where do we want to go from here? So it really was a group effort, and that needs to be emphasized. I don't think you can emphasize it too much, that these people all put in their time as well in putting this together.
Right. They didn't just dig up a story that they had laying around gathering dust. They actually participated.
Yes.
And that's excellent. And, I see a lot of that, when I look at all these different anthologies, and I've had a couple people come on that were in anthologies, and I've been in a couple anthologies, and we really don't just submit a story. We really partake in it, which I think is great. I don't know how it used to be in the old traditional days, but I never heard anybody talk about how much they participated when they were in an anthology. They just, one of my stories is in an anthology.
Yeah.
And I think that's great, to everyone here and everyone not here that didn't make it onto the call. That was clapping, Louann. That's what I was doing. Can you see me?
See everybody.
Oh, good. I just can't see you. So, but yes, so it's wonderful to see so many people and we've got from Alaska to Florida to Pacific Northwest, just all over the place. And the internet has made it so that you don't just find the people that can all make it to the coffee shop down the street from your house. It's opened us up so that we can get from all over the place.
The virtual coffee shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's actually a good name for a group, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
That's an idea.
I'd say just for me, Steve, this has been just an amazing experience working with these folks. I mean, I communicate with them all the time on Facebook, just for other stuff, but I've never actually worked with anyone like this before. And talk about putting to work. I admittedly didn't write this story recently, but when Maer told me the deadline, I had to do a lot of work on it. Seriously, didn't I? I was going back and forth with her, trying to make changes and do these things just to make it in the best possible shape I could get it in. And, having a deadline like that, really, it's amazing what you could do when you have a deadline.
Yes. I've always said nothing gets things done like the last minute.
Yeah.
And it looks like you started this anthology on the second to last minute.
Pretty much. Well, it's just, because Al's situation, and this is all, at the end of the day, this is all about Al. Trying to get attention to his situation. And one of the other things we've got going on, Steve, is a Letter to Ellen campaign where I'm asking, we've got posted on the We Heart Owl page the template to use, but I figured if I could get as many people as possible nominating him as a deserving person in need to Ellen, that at the very least maybe they could like help give us a platform to bring attention to his situation.
Right. It's all about driving the awareness. And that's one of the reasons that we come in here and do the ODNT Spotlight, is to drive awareness, utilize and leverage the power and reach of YouTube. This show will end up on YouTube where billions could see it, but we still have to get the word out and use this to drive awareness for Al, so that, his situation is dire.
Yes.
And he needs help quickly. He doesn't have time to wait.
No.
And so,
really
so one of the pushers for getting the anthology out quickly so that you can start to raise some money from that, but as well as just letting people know that this is needed and needed now.
And the fact that I think that 12 authors came together to put something together for him, even though, we won't see the royalties from this for a while, but just the fact that the caliber of authors that are in this book that have contributed to this situation, I think that in itself is a little newsworthy, that all of these friends of mine who are so brilliant at what they do, at their craft, that they were willing to say, oh, sure, you can have this story for free. That I think that in itself should bring some attention, help bring some attention to Al.
Right. Especially because as authors, we spend all our time going, well, I do this to get paid to do it. And the fact that they're willing to turn over how do you write? You open a vein and bleed on the page, and then you just turn that over for somebody else's benefit.
Yeah.
And that is amazing and excellent. And you got a great group of people together to all do that together, which adds power to it.
I really did. I'm so grateful. I mean, there's a couple that I know really well, so I wasn't surprised when they came aboard. But there have been some of these authors that I don't know very well at all that came kind of, oh, I heard you need this, and here, I'll send this story to you. And that's pretty incredible when you think about it. So it wasn't somebody that I've been good friends with, like with Danielle. We've known each other for 4 years. We were together in a group before we ever sold or published a word. And so we go back. But, people like Robert, who I don't know as well, who said, hey, Maer, I heard you needed this story. And I was just like so grateful. And then I read it and I was like, oh my God, this is so great. So not only did I get people who were generous with their art and with their time, but they were not necessarily my best friends for years and years and years either. They were just folks who were kind and generous. And I think that needs to be noted, that these authors, they're doing this gratis. They're not getting paid for this. So these are really good people. These aren't just good authors. These are good people too. And I think that point needs to be made about what an awesome group all of them are.
And then
they're all my best friends now, though.
Yes, exactly. And then, something like this pulls people together, but it also shows that they didn't just, Stephen mentioned earlier, he didn't just dust off an old story he had laying around going, here, I had this laying around doing nothing. He actually said, okay, now that I'm actually going to get this out there, it's time to actually work on it. I had it out there. It was sitting off to the side, but I'm not just going to hand it over. I'm going to put everything of myself into this and give you top quality storytelling.
And he did, too. But then I like Stephen's writing anyway. He knows that.
I'm sure you like everyone's writing. You say that to everyone that's all on a multiple call with us, I'm sure.
Well, I would say it to these because these are all people who wrote really good stuff. So I really lucked out. I mean, I didn't have to turn anybody down because I wasn't going to just put anything in the anthology, it had to be good.
Right.
So I was really lucky that the first 12 stories I got were all awesome stories.
It's
so
like,
it
boom,
was just
12 done. All right.
oh yeah. It was just like, wow, okay, we're done. And I'm like, we were playing with titles. Danielle and I were tossing stuff back and forth and playing with stuff, and we were always already thinking dozen, because we had that 12. And I go, well, we've got another day. I hope nothing comes in because I really like the dozen thing.
I don't know. 13 could have been fun too.
That's true. That's true, really. Steve. 13 would have been awesome.
Yes, your baker's dozen.
Yeah. I thought about that. But I'm just really grateful, and I know Al is as well, and he does write on the We Heart Al page. He does write on there, and he keeps people up with what's going on. Little bit of a scare last week when he was having some rougher times and having breathing issues, and so he's got sleep apnea, and he's just got all of these complications around the heart. So it's just a lot of things that have to be done and have to be done quickly. So the sooner we can get thousands of people recognizing that this is a good guy. This is a nice guy. This is a guy with a big heart. This is somebody who is friendly and fun and has a great, enormous sense of humor, who I almost killed the very first time I ever talked to him online, because we're on headsets online gaming, and I don't know how it came about, but we got to talking about our pets, and I hadn't been in the guild very long ago. This is about 4.5 years ago, and I posted a picture of my little Chihuahua in her bee costume, and I thought he was going to die. First he started laughing, and then he started coughing, and then he started choking.
Oh no.
And I'm getting this message from another friend. He's really sick. What can we do? What if he's really choking? How do we get somebody to him? So I was in a panic that the very first time I did anything to this man, I almost killed him. So but he's lasted 4.5 years. It's gotten worse. Things have gotten really, really bad, especially with the heart complications the last 2 years.
Right, and so he has an immediate need, and that's why we're doing today's Spotlight, to spotlight the book. I also have in the description, so if you're watching this YouTube video embedded in another website, just click on the little button down there that says Watch on YouTube. You can then see the description, and I have the link there to go check out the Dark Dozen book on Amazon where you could buy it. 100% of the proceeds, basically the money that after Amazon takes their cut and sends the money on, 100% of that goes into Al Scarborough's, did I say that right, Scarborough?
Al Scarborough.
Al Scarborough, his support thing on GoFundMe. And yep. And so, as well as, I also have the link down below. I mentioned this earlier, but I have the GoFundMe link page for him directly, as well as his We Heart Al link on Facebook, where you can find out more information, and also where he posts, and you can keep abreast of everything that's happening with him right now, and you can see for yourself what a great guy this guy is.
Yes. Steve, is it okay to see if any of the authors had anything they wanted to add?
Absolutely. So, who has something that... So, raise your hand if you have something you would like to add to that. Otherwise, everyone will start talking at once. Okay, Ross, go ahead.
It just occurred to me, is this a Facebook book? Has this ever been done before? An anthology just from Facebook people?
I don't think so. I have run into a lot of anthologies where people have met on Facebook, so I don't think that's unique anymore. Okay. In 2012, I think that would have been something new, but by 2014, it had been done.
Okay.
So,
I'm just curious.
Good angle. Always thinking. That's what sets us apart.
Great angle.
Yes, Robert, go ahead.
I think the next time Louann gets a spinning circle, she should try her hand at hypnotizing people into buying the book.
Excellent. Louann, I can't tell. Do you have a hand up, perchance?
Well, I just wanted to thank Mayor for giving us the opportunity to do it. I worked as a patient advocate, and I think that Al's story is just a horrible description of our country and our healthcare system.
Oh, God.
The fact that he could actually have a $120,000 deductible is just mind-blowing and so terribly unfair.
Yeah, that is an awful lot. And apparently it jumped from a $10,000 copay to a $120,000 copay almost overnight, apparently.
Well, I don't know if it's overnight. I found out about it, obviously, overnight. But it was a surprise because he wasn't expecting it. He thought he needed to raise 10. And he had about 6,000 raised. And we've raised about 1,000 over the last, not quite 4 weeks, a little over 3 weeks. So we have been doing what we can.
Right.
But it's not enough, I would love for the insurance company to waive some of this stuff and say, okay, the heart surgeon his cardiologist is already, she's not charging him a dime. So he's getting some cooperation there. But some of the other stuff, he has a new insurance company, and they're just socking it to him.
Oh, man.
At least I think it's a new insurance company. I could be misspeaking there.
Right. And Robert's taking us somewhere. I don't know where Robert's taking us. Are we looking for snacks, Robert?
They are. I'm taking night classes, as I said, and they are kicking me out of the school because they're closing up because it's 10 o'clock at night, and I'm looking for not only my school books but my hat.
Oh, no.
Seem to be missing, so I'm...
While Robert's still looking for his hat, let's go to Stephen. Stephen, do you have anything else to add before we end our interview here?
No, just that I want to thank everyone. I think this was such a fun thing to do, and obviously, like others have said, it's for a great cause. And the interesting thing, I've never met Al. I don't know him, and I just think it was fun doing it for someone who clearly is in need. So I just want to thank everyone else here, and also the other authors who couldn't make it. And I want to thank you, Steve, as well, for bringing attention to this.
Of course. And Danielle, you are second to last.
I just wanted to, thank Mayor for being a really good friend to Al. I don't think that it happens very often that there are people that are that caring about another person to really go out of their way to really try to help someone. And it's really nice to know someone that's willing to go that extra mile.
Excellent. Yeah, hats off to Mayor for championing this. Yes, claps all around. Take a bow, Mayor. Take a bow. So, Mayor, is there anything else you would like to add? Our time is running short. Robert has almost found his hat, most certainly.
Just that I hope everybody, even if you can't donate, because I realize this is a tough time of year. Everybody's got family, they've got the holidays, they've got all sorts of things going on. But even if you could just pass the word or write a letter to Ellen, we've got that template on the We Heart Al page. Anything that you can do to help this situation go viral so that we can bring some attention to this very, very deserving man who's so much fun. He's in his, mid 40s. He's too young. It's too young to lose him now.
I'm sorry, I wasn't laughing at you. Robert just turned into a pirate.
I see that.
Reported.
He was arr. But yes, this is definitely. This is great that you were able to utilize a book as an interesting way to raise funds for someone, which is a great way, and then leveraging the power of Facebook and the internet, and coming on my show, ODNT Spotlight, which I'm growing with my subscription. So, as time progresses, more and more people will be able to see this, and hopefully we get enough people in time so that we make a difference. And that's the hope, and that's the goal.
Yeah. And thank you once again for being willing to have us on and being willing to do this for Al, because I greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure he does too.
Of course, yeah. I don't know him, and I met him only from his Facebook page because of this interview. But again, it has served its purpose. You've just, at minimum, other people are going to watch this, but at minimum, you've added one more person who knows, who can then share his story and help spread the word and get some help for Al before it's too late.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and, hey, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Mayor, Danielle, Robert, Ross, Louann, Stephen. Thank you all very much for coming on ODNT and letting us shine the spotlight on Al Scarborough. And because this really, even though this is a book spotlight, this spotlight's really about helping somebody who needs help fast and needs help quickly and soon. So I'm going to go ahead and switch on over. But thank you all very much for attending. Don't hang up anyone just yet. We'll go ahead and we'll chat for a couple more minutes after. But I'm going to go ahead and close down the interview officially here. So again, the book here, The Dark Dozen, and it's called, the subtitle for it is Stories for Scarborough. And his name is Al Scarborough, and he definitely needs a heart transplant. And you can take a look at, I have his We Heart Al link on Facebook. And there you can go and you can connect with Al and chat with him and see what a wonderful man he really is. As well as we have his GoFundMe page link down below so that you can, anything that you can to help, either sharing, tweeting, or donating, whatever, anything helps. And just getting the word out. There's also a template on the Facebook page that Mayor is saying in order to send a letter to Ellen DeGeneres. Stumbled on her name there. And so that we can get more support and everything for Al that he needs. So once again, I'm Steve DeWinter for ODNT Spotlight, and I like the fact that we're able to utilize this thing that I've put together to draw more attention to somebody who needs help. This is not just about interviewing people and authors for their books and stuff. While I do a lot of that, I'm glad that I was able to use my show in order to bring awareness to somebody who definitely needs help and needs it quickly. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to join the ODN team, subscribe to this channel. I'll do many more things like this, helping out people I can, even if it's just awareness for their books or awareness for their health problems. It's good that I'm here and that we have this all put together so that we can do stuff like that. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.